Okay, in this lesson we're going to go over the chords that are in Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers. Now, in the last lesson, I did show you these minor 7 and this dominant 7 chord. But I've got a surprise for you. I'm going to make it easier for you. I'm going to show you some chord shapes or voicings that make it really easy to play this song. They're shapes that just use 3 notes, 3 strings. That's all it is. It's still technically going to be these chords: A minor 7, E minor 7, D minor 7, and G7. But we're going to simplify it, and it's going to sound just like the song. Now, I took these chords from a live performance that Bill Withers did, and I watched as his hands played these simplified chords. I was thinking, this is so much easier than playing these bulky chords. You know, he doesn't do that. What he does is plays these really sweet little voicings that go like this. Open strings. So today, that's what I'm going to show you in this video. I'm just going to show you how to simplify these chords so that you can play this song with ease. Makes it a hell of a lot more fun to play and sing along if you feel like doing so. So the first chord we're going to look at is A minor 7. Now instead of playing this open A minor 7 chord, we're going to kind of look at the bar chord for a second of A minor. Let's look at our A minor bar chord. Now if you look at A minor, it's just E minor, you know, and then we slide up that note to A. That's how we get our A minor bar chord. So that means if you're playing any bar chord with the note on this string, like a G for example, a G minor bar chord is the same shape as a E minor, F minor bar chord, F sharp minor bar chord, G minor bar chord, you know, you get the point. So we look at our A minor bar chord. And what do we do to make it an A minor 7? We take this pinky off and play this note, just like how we take this note off to get the E minor 7. We're going to take this pinky off to get this A minor 7 sound. Now what Bill Withers plays is actually only 3 of these notes. So he plays the A on this string, but then he skips this note here. He just doesn't play that note, but then he skips to the 7th, the note that makes this a 7 chord, which is actually a G here on the 5th fret of the 4th string. So we've got our 1 and we've got our 7, minor 7, and then he plays the note just under that on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, which is the minor 3rd. So we've got a 1, a flat 7 and a flat 3, which makes this a minor 7 chord. So we have an A minor 7 just by using these 3 notes. So this chord doesn't have a 5th in it, but the 5th doesn't characterize any chord as a major, minor or dominant chord. It's always the same, it's always stable. So these notes, the flat 3 and the flat 7, distinctively mark this chord as a minor 7 chord. Now if that's all over your head, really don't worry about it. You don't need to know theory to play these chords. This chord sounds cool, and if you play it like this, it's just going to sound good. So let's just stick with that. So this is the first chord of the song. It's an A minor 7. And he does this little picking pattern where he uses his thumb on the bass note, which is A, and you can pluck these 2 other notes on the middle 2 strings with your index and middle finger, just like that. Boom, ba, boom, ba. Now that brings us to our next chord in the song. Now he only plays it very short within this chord progression, but it's very easy to play. It's just the same strings that we played, but we're just playing open strings. So the next chord is an E minor 7. So let's take our E minor. Let's make an E minor 7 by taking our ring finger off. Okay, so if we're not playing the note that our finger is on, then all we need to do is play this 6th string open, our 4th string open, and the 3rd string open. That's as easy as it gets. So the 2nd chord is an E minor 7, so he goes A minor 7, E minor 7. Now the next chord is the G7 we talked about, and then back to A minor 7. So let's just look at this G7 chord. So the same formula applies to this chord as we used for the other chords. If we're not playing this note with our ring finger, then we can just forget about that altogether and focus on using our fingers to fret these other notes. So it's really similar to the A minor 7 shape, just down 2 frets, and then our ring finger is going to come out onto the 4th fret, and what that is that's the minor 3rd going to a major 3rd, and this is the minor 7th, and that's just going to stay where it is, because remember the dominant 7 borrows the minor 7th and the major 3rd. So we've got our 1, flat 7, and major 3rd. Again, if this is over your head, just forget about it. Just play the chord and it's going to sound great. Right, so the chord progression goes like this. Simple as that. So we really only have to worry about 2 shapes because one of the chords is just open strings. So this is really easy and great to play. So you've got this first chord, A minor 7. Okay, you're going bass, pick, bass, pick, and then open strings, bass, pick. Then here's our G7 chord. So you can play this with these 3 fingers. You can play it with other fingers, but I'll just show you. You can put your index finger on the 5th fret and then put your middle 2 fingers on the middle 2 strings on the 5th fret. And there's your A minor 7 chord. Just like I said before, open strings for the E minor 7. You've got your 6th string and your 2 middle strings, the 3rd and the 4th. And then just quickly, we're going to go on the G7 chord, which looks like this. Index on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. Middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string. And then we can kick our ring finger out on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. And again, we're only plucking, we're doing the bass note on the G on the 3rd fret, and then we're plucking the middle 2 strings before sliding up to the A minor 7. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So this is the main part. So the song starts off with "Ain't no sunshine when she's," and as he says gone, it comes in. It ain't warm when she's away. So it repeats this twice before going to the next 2 chords. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's an E minor he goes to. It's an E minor 7. But instead of playing it down here, we're going to move up an octave. So an E minor 7 looks like this on the 7th fret. If you look at our A minor chord with our open A on the 5th string, if we keep going up with our bar chord. This is the note E. So if we have our A minor shape and we take it up here, we get an E minor 7. Now, don't worry, we're not going to be playing this chord, but I'm just showing you this because we're going to build our 3-note chord off of this shape. So just like how we use only 3 notes to pluck these other 3 chords, what we're going to do is we're going to take our pinky off to make this E minor and E minor 7. And we're going to think about this as moving our thumb and plucking fingers down a set of strings. So we're now plucking the bass note on the 5th string, and we're using these 2 fingers to pluck the note on the 2nd and 3rd strings. So that means that this ring finger on our fretting hand is not needed, and we can reposition our fingers like this to suit this chord feeling more comfortable. And all we're going to do, we've got our index finger on the 7th fret of the 5th string. That note is E. We've got our middle finger playing the 7th fret on the 3rd string. And then we've got our ring finger playing the 8th fret of the 2nd string. Now again, if we just move our fingers down to be plucking the 5th string and the 2nd and 3rd strings, then we get this sound. We don't need this whole chord, we've just got this. So we can do the same plucking pattern. Just our thumb, pluck, thumb, pluck, thumb, pluck, thumb, pluck. Okay, so that's our E minor 7 chord. Now, the other chord we have is a D minor 7. So D is only 2 frets down from E. So all we need to do is go down 2 frets, and there's our D minor 7. Let's try the same plucking pattern. So it's going to go like this from the E minor 7 shape. And then and that's it. The whole song just revolves around this chord progression. We've got our A minor 7, E minor 7, G7 to A minor 7. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It ain't warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Here we go. This house just ain't no home anytime she goes away. So there we go. We have 5 chord shapes and we can play this entire song. Really simple chord shapes, but when you play this right, it sounds absolutely great. So there we go. Practice these chord shapes. This A minor 7, E minor 7, G7, A minor 7, and then up to this E minor 7, D minor 7, that's it. We've got our 5 little chords, and then join me in the next video where I'm going to show you how to put it all together and learn the whole song, and I'll lay out the song structure below that video so that you can play along once you feel comfortable with it. Alright.